Okay, we're in public session, and if you'd rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. Chief, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is the non-public and public meeting minutes of October 6th and October 17th, 2022.
Make a motion to approve the non-public and public meeting minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Anita. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. Thank you. And the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda for October 20th, 2022. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 10/20/22. Payroll manifest dated 10/13/22. Distribution of funds from the sewer capital reserve funds in the amount of $25,811.03. Appointment of John Miller as the alternate of the zoning board for a 1-year term. Appointment of Susan Neiman as library trustee for a 2-year term. Appointment of William Haskell as an alternate on the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term. Amendment number 1 to the pre-construction contract with Growing Construction Incorporated.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Don. Any questions or comments on any items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the EMS contracts. Hi, Chief.
Hi,
How you doing tonight?
I'm great.
How you doing? How you doing?
I just gave you the contract, so, that's fine. You know.
Did you want them back? I put them on.
No, once they're signed, I'll get them back.
Okay.
So, the 2023 contracts are put together. With no huge changes. There's certainly been a number of changes over the last few years. Probably the only significant change is for those of you who remember from last year, if you were here, that we started to put kind of a population number in place that created a, whether it's a way to balance it out so there was no big swings, whether it's for the contract out or for us. But also really a number that, whether you want to call it kind of a buy-in fee that you pay regardless of how much you use it, or like Peterborough's contracts call it a risk assessment fee. Basically, we're taking on this and we're going to have to provide an ambulance and all that goes with it. So we started with 5% last year. The goal was to be in that 20 to 25% number at the end of this, where at least still the majority of it was related to usage. Just based on the way numbers work, good revenue numbers, that's moved to 20 this year, and then probably that's a good place to see how that program works, maybe for a couple years, okay. And just keep it at that number. So that's the only significant change this year. The obviously spending went up because spending went up, and so the numbers go up. Revenue collections were really solid this year. They have been getting better and better over the last couple of years. Which is certainly a nod to the administrative assistant and the work she does. Part of it too is that we're busier. The contract numbers are based on 1,100 EMS or contract ambulance required calls, which is 75%. That's like the highest number we've ever been at. So yeah, that's the kind of high level. It's overall, I don't even think I made a copy of my sheet, but I put in there that, basically at least the subsidy value kind of goes up roughly like $25,000 this year. Overall, the value of this year's contract is an increase of about $52,000 in revenue. That's billing revenue plus the subsidy that's paid by those contract towns.
Any feedback from towns in the process?
No, so I typically wait until this point where we
Okay.
say this is what it looks like and they can reach out. I know last year after there was a big change, the only town that was particular in inviting me to kind of discuss it was Hill. They signed the contract and paid for it this year. Theirs does go up again. They had a pretty significant increase once again in call volume. But they also had, even though their number, right, like their actual collected number against what we bill out remains lower compared to everybody else, there was a pretty big increase in their billing revenue, which helped offset that. For them, it still means we charge them more overall. It's just we got more money from the patients than we will from the town this year. So it's about a $3,000 increase or a 4.7% increase for them. Danbury's subsidy goes down, but again, that's just the way it works. And Alexandria saw a huge increase back to kind of where they were prior to moving this around, but they, 30 to 40% increase in calls last year. So that's the way the system works. And you know, maybe someday we'll move to multi-year contracts, but probably not.
Okay. Do we need a vote to authorize these, or?
How close are we to being at sort of full capacity for the capability we have now?
Certainly the day position has been huge. We funded, starting probably this time last year, we began covering the weekends with a day shift. It's just really any EMS provider that's on the roster. We've actually picked up a few that are members of the neighboring town fire departments that'll work I think it's a 9-hour shift on Saturday or Sunday. So that's been huge because the numbers pan out that you get. It's some stupid statistic, right? Like 0.7 people to come back for a second EMS call. Well, that obviously isn't a real number because there's no such thing, but it also tells me the majority of the time we get one person. So if we have one person there, then we're able to get that second ambulance out a lot more smoothly than we have. So I still certainly look at the numbers. We did, for the contract year, we did 1,434 calls, which is more than we've ever done. I don't know where we'll flush out for the end of the year. My guess is we'll either be at that number or north of that number for our annual call numbers. You know, so we're gonna get to that point again where, you know, looking at the strategic plan a couple of years from now, it's going to be the right move to look to whether it's bringing in just EMTs to cover certain portions of days, and then that truly allows you 2 trucks moving up the staff. So I don't think anything's changed with that, but we're not going to
run out of capacity.
No, the day position helps immensely, and then having those people around during the weekend days is huge because that's still a big period. You know, I think as long as we keep chugging along on that, and there's been other moves that'll make that more difficult, and certainly the current economic climate's going to make it more difficult. But the hope would be is that, you know, we'll probably pursue safer grant funding more than we ever have. And see if we can't capitalize on that, something that, you know, we can bring that in at a severely reduced price. Eventually we'll all have to pay for it, but see how that works, and if it proves positive, then it helps us step into it versus a big, let's hire 4 people and it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year all at one whack. So
Thanks.
Any other questions, or? All right. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the ambulance contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anita.
You gotta be quicker. You gotta be quicker.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0.
I do have it. I'd really like to say this if I can.
Yep.
So overall, the total EMS program is gonna bring in $613,000 this year, which is up 10% from previous collection overall of $557,000. So, you know, the program certainly does not pay for itself. We still have an over $1 million budget for the fire department as a whole, but it gets offset by then that $600,000 worth of revenue, which is nothing to shake a stick at.
Do you want to make the other announcement in public?
Sure, yeah. So I have recommended that Captain Aaron Heath be promoted to the full-time deputy fire chief position, effective December 4th.
Great. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Aaron. And before he steps away, because this is kind of a town administrator report item,
Yep.
I was hoping that Ben could give you an update where we're at with Gruen in the public safety building.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Do you-
the geotech in
Yeah, do
particular.
you need anything?
No.
Okay.
So, as you can recall, obviously when we were evaluating that site for town office PD usage, there was a lot of architecture and engineering that went on, including geotechnical reports. The two issues that we're running into right now, as far as geotechnical goes, is that based on those plans, there was less borings done in where the apparatus bay and apron will be. Those borings revealed peat material down to anywhere from 3 feet below the surface to 4 feet below the surface, and then there's kind of a big span that there was no borings done because there's a building there currently. So the hope would be normally to go back to the company that did that report initially and look at the information and make some assessments and analysis. That gentleman has since retired. So Gruen brought in a company that they work with pretty routinely for geotechnical services. He looked at it. He feels good that it's not the biggest problem in the world, but what he forwarded was roughly $7,600 worth of geotechnical work, do some more borings. Realistically, only really needs the boring that kind of fills that gap. The building's there, but you could do it outside the footprint of the building. But where that drill's gonna be on site, and it's the same price whether we use them for 1 boring or 3 borings, however many they can get in during that day, is to probably get a unit into the top hillside and largely for the purpose of knowing clearly, like we have a picture, but having a clearer picture of how much material might be that's planned on being moved from that can be used to fill in where the peat material is going to need to be hauled away. So that's certainly a huge, at the end of the day, will probably be a big benefit because it's going to, I know the initial companies that costed out site work had access to that initial geotechnical. My assumption is they probably planned on having to remove some material. At least now they're gonna have a clear picture on what that is, and if there is reusable material on site, then hopefully that can help save that. So that is an increase over what the initial pre-construction contract had. It didn't, because of what we had for work, there was an assumption that we wouldn't need to do any geotechnical. So between Gruen's fees and whatnot, it's about $8,900 worth of work. They sent along, whatever, we just need to approve moving forward with that. Some of that realistically is a portion of what was factored into the budget for on-site stuff. So I don't think and certainly it's not gonna put us over budget $8,900, but that was the big one. At some point they'll submit a change order and we'll sign that and whatnot, but So, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Well, did you want to touch base?
Engine 2's back.
Sweet. That's good news.
Yeah, virtually new transmission and PTO and
Did the police give you an escort back into town?
brought it in the dark underneath.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit less than that, like kind of placeholder 25,000 total that I had figured on. It was still north of 20, but, you know, it
Yeah.
will still be there. All the trucks are over for their inspections and services right now, and so I hesitate to say that we're at least gonna stay at that number at this point, but so far so good. Engine 4 wasn't too bad, and the ladder just went over yesterday, so.
Good.
Did you want to touch base bonding?
Oh yeah, the bonding issue, for now, has been resolved. So they do have a bond in hand, you know, just the concern right now is because of going through that process, the bond is in hand and they have X amount of days to pay for it. So, luckily that should all line up with their anticipated kind of done. And as long as, you know, A, their construction contract looks good, B, you guys still want to move forward with them, and C, the bids came in, you know, under budget, we'll be able to sign that, they'll be able to retain it, or they'll be able to sign it, but know that we're gonna pay the premium on it, you know.
Have they started the bid process?
They should be, their goal was second week in November maybe, or third week in November, and they're online for that. So they've started consulting with some, like Jim's looking into some grant funds that might help offset some of the security and electrical work. We've started with some other electrical stuff because I want to get the EMPG grant stuff started, and a few other projects. So that should certainly be, I would ask, you guys are really, not that we need to be in flex, but if there are any subcontractors that are looking to be included in that bid list, that they should certainly forward it, probably to myself or Jim, and we can get it to Gruen, and they can investigate them from that point.
Great.
Good.
Because it'll be starting within the month, at least the more official process.
Yeah.
This part of the email says they would like to start demolition of the existing building in the latter part of February and begin construction of the facility late March or early April. I saw my notes today about doing a public safety building update and putting it out to the public, and you wanted to see it. I didn't send it to you.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, whoops. Ben wrote it.
I did my part.
He did his part. I asked, he wrote it. We've posted it. We put it out to the public so they know where we were at. But if you saw anything you wanted changed, just let me know. We'll fix it.
Okay. Can we all take a swing with the excavator when the time comes?
Sure.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So you want
I think
to sell bricks?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Fun fireworks.
I think we should have $25 a hit with the excavator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People be lined up around the block.
Yeah, I told Fenton, I said, listen, I like that time frame because I would love for progress to be moving before town meeting. And if I gotta bring my excavator down, I would.
You have an excavator?
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Oh, it's a mission. I mean, it's,
I'd make it
there are
work.
excavators and then there are excavators.
Every time I drive by one, I say,
How big's your excavator?
I have a lot of ones that I can borrow when I need them.
I drive
They're the
by.
best kind of excavator.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I drive by them on the way home every night.
Yep.
Going in hand with that, we're trying to get this building. We're gonna start doing some preparations on this building to move things forward. We're trying to get the rack and server moved. And that's been a little difficult to get a number, but we've located the key to the door,
That's good.
so it's good news, and I'm working on getting them back to take a look at that.
They look like they're anxious to do it, we just gotta get them moving.
Good.
We gotta get ready, that PD ready to come over here.
It's a weird question, but is there a shower in this building?
No, it got cut out.
I was just thinking with, having,
I mean, it would be nice to have that.
yeah.
If is this building at all, I can't remember, is this part of your emergency operation, like emergency house shelter?
It's not officially what it probably would never be a shelter, but I think at some points, but between the EOP update that will come once the HMP update's done, and once that building's done, I think the smart move will be to officially rename, we'll keep that the EOC, like it kind of currently is, but then officially name this as the alternate EOC,
Where is the original, where is the main EOC?
the fire station.
Fire station.
And then the alternate had been the selectmen's meeting room in the old town office building, so that's not technically changed.
Okay.
We are making that change in the HMP update, just so that it's,
Yeah.
you know, at least a year later, it'll all mesh up and whatnot.
All right.
So we're gonna start doing some things in this building, trying to get those things in place, installing a door. We
Yep.
might as well get the door installed,
Yeah,
whatever we
absolutely.
need to do.
Yeah.
Those things, and we're trying to shift, I've boxed up as much as I can so far at my office, and the new person starts, I don't think we ever announced it.
Monday,
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Joanne Bailey will start, and she'll be the new assessing and land use manager.
Excellent.
Great.
And we've actually recruited Comerford, Nieder, and Perkins to help with training, to help alleviate some
Nice.
pressure off of me, hopefully will help. And
Yep.
we'll start shifting some things.
So plan is I told Christina, the plan is we'll move Christina into the office, the TA's office. And then the times I have to be here, I'll either stay here, or I'll be in the building if I need to be, but other than that,
Yep.
it'll be set up and we can watch it work.
We
And
did him a nice chair.
so I think that, but the quicker she can get settled up, I
Absolutely.
just get her in, get her settled, and then
Yeah.
she'll be up and downstairs a lot, but, you know, just until, I'll be here until, but I can just float through the building, so.
Yep.
And one thing, I don't know if I even need to add this here, but one thing I'd like to do during some of this construction prep is install a small half wall, or a full wall, but blocking the bathroom upstairs.
From,
If whoever's sitting in the lobby is
Yeah,
looking
gets
right at
a-
your bathroom.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and it's not sound.
I'm like, I don't wanna come out of the bathroom and be staring Deb in the face. But I just don't understand that setup. It would be nice to put the wall, segregate the bathroom away from your working space a little bit.
So you
if
just
that's
walk in
okay
a
with
little
the
hallway
board.
and go into it, but it shouldn't cost a ton of money, but it
Yeah.
would just be a construction project.
Got a partition?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
part-
petition.
It
Do we have a wheeled
No.
partition is what I'm
No.
trying to.
No, we have a partition that we separate the land use office, but it's not soundproofed in any
Yeah,
way. It's this
yeah.
little wall that keeps them separate, but there's nothing else. But if it's okay with the board, I'd like to do it at the same time as everything else.
Yeah.
So,
If we have
Yeah.
people in, it's time to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
he's hanging around. so-
Yeah.
He's hanging around for.
Oh, boy.
I like this chair better if you
Yeah,
don't.
so-
Go ahead.
You got it. Town administrator's report.
Okay, so we didn't get one written up, so we're kind of, it's been so crazy this week, but we've pretty much covered everything, I think. There's a couple of small things that
Okay.
are additional. I'll let Christina go first and I'll chime in as necessary. But
Just to give you update on the backups, we did check in, Nesset is going to, has submitted a quote, it is going to be about $12,000 a year for the backup, with them starting as soon as we pull the switch. They won't charge us for the hardware, they'll install the hardware. And so right now there's a short-term fix in, and this is the long-term fix. So as soon as I tell them to go, they'll get started on that and get going.
I'd really suggest that we pull the trigger on that, because I was not aware that we're as vulnerable as we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And there's no difference between the 3 and 5 year. I asked if there's any cost savings. So my thoughts are to mirror the same agreement as we do with them already for their services, which is a 5-year
I
agreement.
was gonna say that the advantage then would be the 5 year
Yeah.
because there's no increase.
Right.
Right.
So that we're gonna get that's going on. We're getting the rack moved with them. They're still working on the NewHampshire.gov to finalize those changes. They thought the website was fixed. They were in the office with me, pulled it up, and I'm like, nope, it's not fixed. So they were still working on that, and then there's a couple of other smaller things that they're still working on. So we're still trying to get all of the computer systems into their data banks, because they're not, but Thankfully, Ingrid has helped me I've gathered the information and she's putting it into an Excel sheet for me, so we can get that to them.
Okay.
Was there some kind of a failure that we have, that we can track that from our last contractor? Did they not live up to their contract in some way that we ended up in this place?
So, a mixture, I'll say. I'll just say it's a mixture of things that's happened. Unfortunately, I don't think we probably should have switched our contractor in the middle of losing a town administrator as well. We probably should have held off because we started off with a different company and the different company came to us and said, no, we're gonna charge you this amount of money. So we pulled that contract and we went with the second choice, which they're really good and they're trying very hard.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things that in the last
Fell
minute
by
we
the-
find out, oh great, their contract ends September 15th, and we're like, we didn't know. We didn't know it ended September 15th. So a lot of things didn't transition over that probably should have. And I don't think it's just one party's fault in this. There was a few bumps that happened and it's multiple issues.
Well, having inadequate backup,
There is
that's not an issue from changing over.
There is a backup
contracts.
system from the old company, but this company can't get into it.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So they've installed a short-term solution. So it's backing up from the old programs, and it's not, the old program is called something like NAS device, and it's not easily to get information out of it when you need to. So I'm like, well, that makes no sense. If you have to back up, if you have something fail and you have to pull the information out and you can't get to it, that's not doing us any good. So they have a short-term solution they did just to cover us, and then when we were talking, it came about that the only thing technically short-term solution is police in this building. I'm like, well, that's not acceptable either. We need to have something more long-term, although Ben's exposure is less because a lot of his stuff is backed up with the programs that he has. But water, sewer, highway, library. So they've come back with a better solution, and that's what this is. They're working to fix that.
So we'll probably give them the green light, like, right off.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out where to get 12 grand from them.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to pay up front. It's $1,000 a month, and it's in the computer line. It's computer software support. I've already kind of calculated it out. We've left that line alone to see what happens. We're not sure what's going to happen next year right now, so we've left that line alone. It had money added, quite a substantial amount of money, which I think will cover it. I'm just not totally confident it's going to cover it, but between Butch and I, we thought we should just leave that line alone with what we recommended to you, and then see what happens.
Okay.
So.
And you may even know prior to town meeting if it's gonna be enough or not enough, or if it's too much, and you could certainly amend it at the floor if you wanted to, but
If you needed
but
to.
I think we leave it alone and see how this shakes out and go from there.
Their settlement agreement with Central Rivers Powers is signed. We've gotten, we have to cut the check for the agreement, so you'll see that in next week's manifest, because I've got to get that out soon. I'm running a little late getting it out. And
I
then,
think they've already sold the dam. I think I saw that Ontario
huh,
Northern Power just bought all those dams, I think. So that's what it was about, but that's fine.
well, that's funny, he doesn't say it in this, but,
No.
so also, Sean has asked, there was a talk that we were gonna try to pursue some type of pilot program, to move forward with the cost for the assessment for this, so the taxes would be based on pilot, not
Yeah.
on, and so what's happened is.
I thought that was the agreement. I mean,
So this says that New Hampton wants to forego the pursuit of a pilot agreement for the Ayers Island. Given the recent sale which occurred, the recent sale potentially shows that the value of hydroelectric plants may have increased significantly. So it makes sense to see how the market responds to the sale and this actually turns into a trend, then you won't need the pilot.
Yeah.
So he's asking if, we would have any objection to putting the pilot discussion on hold. I preliminary said, I think that's probably a good idea, but let us run that by the board just to make sure.
Yeah, I
The
think
sale,
it's a
I
good
think,
idea.
the sale he's referring to is that, the sale of, this company has sold all their assets to,
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's the same old problem, is you never find out what the
No.
actual sale price is.
no.
Oh, no, they hide it.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
No, they do, there's no
They do.
question about it, yeah.
They use accounting tricks.
Yeah, but, yeah, I think that makes sense, to put that on hold.
Okay.
Definitely.
I think the last thing that I had was, NHMA has sent out a notice, about, let's see. In the event that they have any records or legal communications with our community, they discard them all. Any records that are older than January of 2015, if they don't receive a communication, so we can request for those records to be sent to us, or they will destroy them. So I don't know if there's any, I have no idea what the records would be at this point from NHMA. Anything of significance, we're talking to the town's attorney. This would be free legal advice mostly, so I don't think there's any reason to.
Yeah, some towns use NHMA almost exclusively, so they get into some real in-depth stuff,
Yeah.
but I think what they're saying is they're purging their legal from 15 back, so, yeah.
I think that's it for me, right, until non-public. Do you?
Yeah, no, that's good, that covers it, yep.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Select board items. Les, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Anita?
I do not.
Carol?
Well, you and I talked about, unless you don't want to talk about that.
No, that's fine, yeah.
So I'm wondering if in this economy, and I know it's a small amount of money, should we be paying for a town Christmas party?
We could go back to the old way that we used to do it, but
I know it's not much money out of all this budget, but it has, to me, it has you know, from the outside, it just, and I've never been, I don't even know what it amounts to, I don't know what kind of event it is, but
Lunch.
how much
Yeah,
money.
pretty much lunch.
Yeah.
Right, but still, is that, I don't know, I
Well, the
just.
past 2 years, because of the pandemic, every department has just had their own.
we paid for pizza, maybe
Yeah.
pizza or subs or something.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were in the other building, it was like a potluck kind of thing, but it kind of fell to your administrative office for the most part,
Right.
and people would come eat.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
so,
that's right, we did use
we did do it. Yeah, I dumped my whole fish dinner on the floor down there. It smelled like fish from
So I'm just throwing it out there, I feel like it's something we shouldn't do. Just because of the conversations, everywhere, the conversations are everywhere, people aren't gonna be able to afford gas and oil and heat and electricity, people are coming and we're gonna pay to have a party, and it seems, I just don't think it's right, I don't know.
do you
Throw it
wanna,
to you guys to talk about, so.
I don't know if you wanna see what the quote is for that event before you make
Is it
that
catered
decision, or are you
usually?
just saying nothing? It was catered at the homestead.
Oh,
Recently,
okay.
yeah, we did it at the homestead.
I don't have the quote in front of me, I don't know, but, I think Deb or Wendy might have the quote, and we could get that
Yeah,
to
we
you
could talk, yeah.
for the next meeting, you could determine based on that what you think.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
that's it.
Don?
I'm good.
And I'm good as well.
I have one question.
Yep.
I just wrote it down. So do you need any of the department, or would you like any of the department heads to attend the select board presentation to
To the budget? No.
committee? Okay, good.
We don't need to do that.
Okay, so I will then entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32 A, B, and C.
So moved.
Moved by Dawn. Voice roll vote, sorry.
Need a second?
Seconded
Carol
by
by
Carol. Thank you. Don,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Sean, aye.
Aye.